thank you for joining the Northern Miner here at the annual PDAC convention in Toronto. Oroco Resource Corp in August published a preliminary economic assessment for its Santo Tomas copper project in Mexico. Here to tell us more about it is President Ian Graham. Thank you very much for making time to join me.
Thanks very much for having us, Henry. So yes, we published the PEA last August. We were thrilled with the results. We've got a $1.5 billion NPV8 for our copper porphyry project in northwest Mexico. And one of the real keys of this project is that it has a, relatively speaking, affordable capex to get this project into production, 1.1 billion US. So our capex to net present value ratio is very compelling among the constellation of peer projects.
All right, so that's a great introduction. So what does the resources look like at the moment, and perhaps do you have any comparable deposit?
Certainly. Our resource is 8.5 billion pounds of copper in situ at a 0.365 average grade. That resource in the PEA, 5.5 billion pounds of copper is recovered. Over the first 7 years, we will recover that copper at an aggregate grade of 0.51% copper equivalent, and 90% of the value will be copper in the concentrate. There are a number of comparable projects in our size and scale globally. We actually have a deck, and certainly I'd invite people to go and compare our project with others that are held by juniors and major companies across the suite of undeveloped copper projects.
All right. So besides the initial economic assessment, what were some of the other key milestones that you achieved there at Santo Tomas last year?
So predominantly our drilling confirmed a long-known historical resource and extended that. And then really the main milestone was crystallizing that drill work, the amalgamation of the historic and the new work into a current resource, and the PEA, which puts forth a very, very compelling mine plan, culminating with a strip ratio that is only 1.38 to 1, with all of the strip in the latter part of the mine life. We go directly into mineral at the commencement of mining and get some very, very nice grades right off the bat. So it's a very, very compelling project from a sequencing perspective.
Okay, so then with the PEA in hand, what does the current strategy entail? What are some of the key things you need to achieve this year?
So we're looking to advance towards a PFS. We have on the ore body, much of the reserve is in an indicated category, but we need to raise the so-called south zone from inferred to indicated in order to underpin a PFS level study. And so we're looking to do that drilling. It's a modest campaign. It would be in the 20,000 meter range. It would include some hydrological drilling, some geotechnical work, and that would allow us to put out a PFS level study to the appropriate level of detail. And in order to do that, we need to do the drilling I described, and in order to do the drilling, we need to raise some funds. And so in preparation for that, we're preparing a shelf prospectus, which will be available in the next quarter.
All right. So I suppose permitting is also front of mind for the company. Mexico has had a bad rap in recent quarters and the past few years, in fact. How should investors think about your approach to permitting in Mexico?
Certainly. No, that's an important question. And of course, we've been focused on that in recent times. The last election in Mexico has ushered in a new regime, which seems to be taking a much more pragmatic approach to permitting in general. And we've already seen some permits for underground mine expansions adjacent to open pits, etc. We believe that all of our current rights are enshrined. They're in effect grandfathered. We've lodged the necessary legal protections to insulate ourselves from any change. So we won't be impacted by change. That's a very important item for investors to be aware of. And we are obviously monitoring the permitting process, but we have it mapped out. we'll execute on that, and really what we need is a PFS level study to have the project really well detailed for advancement.
All right. So what can you tell me about the company's share structure and also some of the key people involved?
Certainly. We're 250 million shares out currently, fully diluted about 300 million shares. Key people are the founders who have been with the company since 2006, and currently insiders have about 12% of the company, and those folks have taken a long view and developed the company. We acquired the project through a legal process which took several years, and all of our key shareholders stood by us and supported us through that period. And I think current shareholders and potential new shareholders should see our current circumstance as a launch pad for phase 2, bring us through to PFS, and to enable us then subsequently to monetize the project, hopefully on a sort of 3-year term. So we see a very, very compelling exit. We're very, very confident about the environment we're in, and we're looking forward to developing on it.
All right. So another macro level question for you. Last week, the US administration under Donald Trump implemented a Section 232 review on copper imports. How does that factor into your project's development thinking? Is it a challenge or perhaps a boon for you?
So, Henry, in some regards, that long-run macro environment is, I think, evolving in front of us. The world, the United States, the nearshoring impetus will drive a need for copper in the Americas. We're very well located in Mexico, so on continent. And I think in the end, our belief is the copper will be needed, it will be recovered, it will be produced, and Santo Tomas will make about 100,000 tons a year of copper, 108,000 ton a year of copper equivalent over a 22-year mine life. It is going to be an important peg in the supply chain solutions. So, you know, the details of some of the tariffs, etc., are perhaps a tad above my pay grade, but in the large picture, this project will be needed and will be advanced.
Fair points. And then you've spoken about several catalysts. Just to be clear, please run us through the key value-driving catalysts for the company over the next 12 months.
Certainly. So we'll be raising money, doing this drill work on the PFS. That will deliver news, will take us through to a PFS, and the PFS will crystallize a value that will make the project a target for development.
All right. Is there perhaps anything else important that we should talk about that I've not asked you about?
No, Henry, I think we've covered the project and most of its aspects. I really appreciate it.
All right. So there you have it. Oroco Resource Corp's President Ian Graham.